What is up, Light Fam? Welcome to another video. My name is David, your spiritual awakening coach, here to help you through your spiritual awakening. Much love to the Light Fam out there. Thank you guys so much for sending me all of your prayers and energy of healing. Many of you know that I had to go out of town last week for a medical emergency. I'm very pleased to announce that my mother is recovering very quickly. She's been given a second lease on life, and a lot of you guys sent a lot of love and healing energy. Some people actually sent Reiki energy as well. So everything is energy, guys, and it just feels amazing to be able to create a community where like-minded people can come together and support one another and just spread good energy as needed, especially in today's world. So I thank you guys for that. Also tomorrow, March 9th, remember, is the free live webinar on my 45-day group coaching program. Remember, the topics for the group coaching program are going to be self-love healing, self-worth healing, shadow work, how to meditate, just to name a few. So if you are interested in working with me through Zoom in a group setting, click the link below. My admin will send you the link so you can attend the live webinar and see if the coaching package is for you. Also, if you have a question for me, add me over on Instagram _Lightways. I've gotten a couple messages of people wanting to know the fastest way to get a hold of me. Instagram is probably the best way. Again, _Lightways. Enough of all the preliminary stuff. Let's get to why you actually clicked on this video. And that is how to be magnetic AF. Now, this is a very interesting thing because a lot of people are wanting to attract their person, their soulmate, the twin flame, the one, whatever it is. But are you being magnetic AF? Are you attracting? Well, you probably are attracting. The question is, are you attracting what you want? That's the real question. So we got to adjust that frequency a little bit to make sure that you do attract what you want. So let's get into how to be magnetic AF right now. Let go. How to be magnetic AF. Well, I'm going to give you a very simple, straightforward piece of advice and put myself at risk of being called Captain Obvious. But because I don't want to be called Captain Obvious, we're going to really kind of peel back the layers and dig into this simple truth so that you really understand it on a much deeper level. You understand it, as we like to say. That simple advice, how to be magnetic AF, be your authentic self. Now, before you call me Captain Obvious, let's really dig into this be your authentic self, because, you know, a lot of times you'll hear people say, how do I get this other person to like me? I really like this person. I just want them to like me back. And then the advice that they will get oftentimes is, just be yourself, which is true. However, if you haven't had a spiritual awakening and you're not doing the inner work, you're not sitting in meditation, you're not doing shadow work, you may not know what the real you actually is. So how do you be yourself if you don't know what yourself actually is or who yourself actually is? So this is what a spiritual awakening really is all about. It's about peeling away the layers of what the ego has sold to you as who you are. This is what we like to call the false self. So the ego constructs a false self of who it believes you need to be to survive. Let me explain. This usually comes from childhood, by the way. So let's say in childhood you learn that being silent and meek, or even being disingenuous, got you provisions in return, got you acceptance by the social group, got you the ego's understanding of love. And so the ego sold this identity to you as this is who you need to be to get provisions, acceptance, love, survival. And then you kind of take that on as, well, this is just who I am. Is it really who you are, though? What if you took action in the direction of what the ego told you is a threat to your survival? And no, I'm not talking about playing in traffic. I'm not talking about a threat to your physical survival. But let's say that you know that you have abandonment trauma from childhood. What if you took physical action in the direction of what your ego says is a threat to survival? So in other words, you took action toward being abandoned. You took the physical action of being alone. You took the physical action of cutting those toxic relationships that you keep around just to appease your abandonment trauma. Now, what can happen is you cut those toxic relationships that no longer serve you and make you feel like crap, but it appeases your abandonment trauma. And you sit in a centered, peaceful, still, calm place, and you say, I'm still alive. I didn't die. I got rid of what the ego told me is necessary for survival. So not only do you feel like a huge dead weight has been lifted from your life and you feel freer and on a higher vibration, which is the opposite of not surviving, but you're physically demonstrating to the ego that not being abandoned doesn't necessarily mean survival. So this is what we mean by getting to the authentic self. You might just discover that your authentic self is not codependent whatsoever. And now you start to rewrite this story about yourself that you've been sold by the ego. You guys love the phrase that I came up with, be your authentic self and the world will adjust. Well, I decided to revamp it a bit for this video. Be your authentic self and you will attract the world. How to be magnetic AF? Well, as we're peeling back the layers of that false self, we get to what I like to call the source self. This is the authentic self. As we just said, be your authentic self and you will attract the world. Why? Because the source in them will see the source in you. This is what Namaste means. Namaste, the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. So take that physical action in direct opposition of that childhood programming that no longer serves. Now, of course, this is going to take some spiritual solitude, some inner work, some shadow work to figure out what that childhood trauma is and why you're programmed the way that you are. But once you figure out what that is, take physical action in direct opposition of what the ego told you is necessary to receive love. Ooh. Yeah, let's say that one again. Take physical action in direct opposition of what the ego told you is necessary to receive love. How to be magnetic AF? Well, the more that you operate from the source self, the authentic self, the more that you are self-validating, self-approving, and sovereign, meaning that you're not sending out a needy energy because you don't perceive yourself as needing anything. You don't identify as lacking or incomplete. And when people are not intuitively picking up a what does this person want from me type of energy, then their minds are not preoccupied with survival, which is fight or flight. So in other words, if their mind is preoccupied with will I survive if I give this person what they want, or will I survive if this person takes something from me, if they're not preoccupied with that, their authentic light is able to shine through. They're on a higher state of consciousness because they're not preoccupied with survival. That higher state of consciousness is a receptive energy, an allowing energy, where their authentic light is able to shine through because they're not distracted with hiding the vulnerability of who they really are because they're worried about survival due to your needy energy. In addition, like attracts like. Whenever you send out needy energy, you vibrationally match with people that need something from you. You attract what I like to call the takers. These are people that approach a relationship with what can he or she do for me? This is a very codependent, disempowered energy. Disempowered energy equals a disempowered relationship. And it's always the worst approach because you're placing your happiness and worth in the hands of some other person. You will always be disappointed and disempowered in the long run whenever you make your happiness and worth someone else's responsibility. Ooh, What's that, Dave? I said you will always be disempowered and disappointed whenever you make your happiness and worth someone else's responsibility. How to be magnetic AF? Well, the more that you operate from the authentic self, and again, the only way to know the authentic self is to face your own crap. Face your own darkness, face your own shadow trauma, and heal that shadow trauma. You will attract in a higher vibing love, higher than the person that you're currently pining over. And this is what happens in a lot of twin flame separation situations where one of the twins, typically the DF, will heal the insecurities that attracted that twin in the first place. The twin was using those insecurities to emotionally manipulate the other twin. But once those old insecurities are healed, those old insecurities no longer need validation. And now, one twin is no longer attracted to the other twin because those old insecurities have been healed. You will be surprised how unattractive your twin becomes once you heal those old insecurities that no longer need validation. First, we will do quote of the day, and then we will do question of the day. Here is today's high vibrational quote. Now, question of the day. What is your biggest stumbling block to being magnetic AF? Ooh, you know, we don't have bubblegum questions around here, Light Fam. We like to dig deep. So let us know in the comments below what is stopping you from being magnetic AF, and then we can all kind of jump in and help one another. That's the beautiful thing about having a community of like-minded people. If you have a question for me, add me over on Instagram _Lightways. And remember, tomorrow is the free webinar discussing the 45-day group coaching program, all of the details where we're going to get into shadow work, self-love, self-healing, all of that good stuff. Until next time, I will see all of my beautiful Light Fam in the next video. Light, love, and abundance to all that are watching and to all you love. Peace, guys.